It started one quiet afternoon when a letter arrived in my mailbox. The envelope bore the stamp of animal control, and inside was a notice of complaint. Apparently, my cat, Whiskers, had been labeled a public nuisance by a neighbor. The accusation claimed he roamed freely, disturbed property, and caused excessive stress to nearby households. I was shocked. Whiskers was an indoor cat, only venturing into the backyard under supervision. It didn't take long to realize who was behind this. Karen, the neighbor infamous for finding problems where none existed. I knew this was only the beginning. Karen had a history with the neighborhood pets. She complained about barking dogs, claimed birds were too noisy, and even tried to ban a child's rabbit hutch. Whiskers was merely her latest target. As the letter demanded, Animal Control scheduled a home inspection. I prepared everything: vet records, indoor photos, and proof Whiskers rarely left the yard. When the officer arrived, he found a perfectly healthy, well-kept cat lounging in the sun. No evidence matched Karen's complaint, but the officer hinted there had been multiple calls from her number. Clearly, she was determined to make trouble. The false accusations didn't stop there. Karen began photographing Whiskers through the fence. Whenever he was outside, she circulated rumors at HOA meetings, insisting he was terrorizing the neighborhood. Yet no one else had issues. In fact, many neighbors enjoyed petting him when he lounged on my porch. Still, Karen grew bolder, demanding action from both the HOA and Animal Control. Her persistence was almost theatrical. But while she worked to frame my cat as the menace, others started noticing something different: her own dog. A large retriever constantly ran off leash through the streets. That detail would soon matter. Karen's dog had always been a problem, though most overlooked it. He darted into yards, knocked over trash cans, and once even chased a delivery driver. Karen brushed off complaints, saying he was friendly and harmless. But the law was clear: dogs needed to be leashed at all times outside their yards. One evening, while she argued with neighbors about Whiskers, her retriever bolted across the street, nearly causing a car accident. Several witnesses were present, and this time, they weren't willing to stay silent. The hypocrisy had reached a breaking point, and word quickly spread. Animal Control was called again, but not for Whiskers. Complaints poured in about Karen's dog, including eyewitness reports of him roaming, unattended. Officers arrived to investigate, and unlike with my cat, the evidence was undeniable. They saw the dog trotting across the street without supervision, neighbors pointing out trampled flower beds and scattered trash. Karen tried to deflect, insisting Whiskers was the real issue, but the officers ignored her excuses. The leash law was non-negotiable. For the first time, Karen's confidence faltered. The same system she had tried to weaponize against me was now turning back on her. The HOA soon became involved. Reports of Karen's repeated, unfounded complaints about Whiskers were contrasted with multiple confirmed incidents involving her dog. The board wasn't amused. Neighbors voiced their frustrations, recounting times her retriever had invaded gardens or frightened children. Meanwhile, Whiskers had never harmed anyone or broken a single rule. The irony became a neighborhood joker, and the self-proclaimed rule enforcer was the one violating laws. Animal Control fined her for repeated leash violations and issued a warning of steeper penalties if the behavior continued. Karen's crusade had officially backfired. Community's patience with her was wearing thin. Karen's reputation unraveled quickly. Neighbors who once tolerated her antics now avoided her entirely. Parents whispered about keeping their kids away from her yard, and joggers crossed the street when they saw her dog off leash. The HOA meetings she once dominated with complaints turned into sessions where residents openly challenged her. She had lost her credibility, and with it, her influence. Meanwhile, Whiskers became something of a neighborhood mascot, often receiving head scratches from people walking by. The contrast was stark. My cat, once accused of being a menace, was now beloved, while Karen faced isolation. In the end, the outcome couldn't have been clearer. Karen's attempt to weaponize Animal Control against my harmless cat only exposed her own disregard for the rules. Her fines piled up, her reputation crumbled, and her once loyal retriever was finally kept leashed under watchful eyes. Whiskers, meanwhile, continued his peaceful routine, basking in the sun without worry. The neighborhood learned a simple truth: false complaints can backfire, and hypocrisy doesn't stay hidden forever. Karen had tried to create a nuisance out of nothing, but ultimately, the only real nuisance had been her end. Justice had finally caught up.